So I dropped a video about this, I want to say yesterday morning, and I got some reactions because I had a reaction. I specifically made commentary on how this battle system reminds me a lot of Dragon Age and other action RPGs, and how I didn't necessarily like that for this franchise, or at least this part of it. Right? I don't like it for Legends, and there's a reason why. And that reason is consistency amongst sequels, right? Because we've been where I think we're going before with a different franchise that is oftentimes seen as Pokemon's direct competitor. That's the Digimon World series. And the reason I bring this up is because the Digimon World games all play differently from each other. Digimon World 1 was closer to how the Tamagotchi toys worked, where you would feed and train your Digimon, and they would sort of evolve of their own accord and then battle of their own accord while you made suggestions. Digimon World 2 was a dungeon crawler where you were in a vehicle, and all of the battles were traditional RPG style, and you would battle 3-on-3. Digimon World 3 took that dungeon crawling, made your character get out of the vehicle, and maintain the RPG style battles. But now all of the battles were one-on-one, and you would digivolve your Digimon in battle instead of having them digivolve permanently outside in the overworld. They took that feature away. Digimon World 4 was a top-down action beat-em-up co-op game that played completely different from the other games in its franchise. So when I see a battle system that frankly reminds me a bit of how Dragon Age works, just a bit, or maybe Dragon's Dogma, like I said in my earlier video, as opposed to the turn-based system where you would be able to pick strong or agile style moves, which would dictate how much power you put into a move, the chances of its special effect occurring, or whether or not you got to change your turn order and attack multiple times in a row, which opened up opportunities for different strategies and different styles of moves. I see the same pitfalls that the Digimon franchise fell into, because the Digimon World series didn't do well in the States and struggled a little bit internationally because the sequels all changed the battle system so drastically from game to game that if somebody liked one battle style, they couldn't play the sequel because it wasn't going to be there anymore. And I appreciate that Pokemon is experimenting, but you're experimenting in a way that your direct competitor did in the 90s, and it is 2025. Google is free, and they're in the same city you're in. Don't do the literal thing that they did that made them lose to you. You feel what I'm saying? And to be frank, me personally, I actually really enjoyed Pokemon's turn-based combat because I don't think the issue with Pokemon's battle style has ever been its turn-based combat. What I actually thought the issue was that Pokemon never really built battle systems that were implemented in the game, right? So Pokemon Generation 3 introduced double battles, right? Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald introduced double battles into the franchise. They also introduced effects. So Pokemon's individual effects interplayed with how they affected each other in battle when they were working on a team. But Pokemon only ever used one set of gym leaders to use double battles in this game. In this generation, the only people who double battle you are Tate and Liza in regards to the gyms. And there weren't many opportunities to double battle anybody in the overworld. There were a few, but not nearly as many for one of the most important mechanics to ever affect Pokemon. Because Pokemon's world championships are held in double battles, but they still don't implement them in the games properly. So we have a new battle system that is not implemented into the game that builds off of the original battle system. You still got the turn base, you still got the attack types, but we now have effects which add on instead of replace things. And you have Pokemon that can now directly affect each other. Earthquake hits everybody on the field, including your partner now. Earthquake was already a move. We already knew how Earthquake worked. But now you have to think about how your partner is affected. It built on a system that was already there, and that's how I think a sequel should build its battle system. Legends ZA isn't really doing that. It just sort of replaced how the battle system works. Again, from what I see, I know this game is not out yet, so I'm going to withhold all commentary, but I don't necessarily see a drastic change like that, especially from sequel to sequel, as an inherent positive, because I never thought that the battle system was the negative. I thought them not using it fully in the game was always its issue. Pokemon does not have boring battles. Pokemon actually has some of the most interesting and deep battles in any video game, especially in any RPG. they just never put it in the main game. You have to play it in the post game with either the Battle Frontier or the Battle Tower or the Battle Mansion or whatever they put in there, or you have to go to VGC or play meta or play with people online. You never are challenged to do it in a main game unless you're playing Pokemon Coliseum or Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness. And those games were relegated to the GameCube at a time where Pokemon almost exclusively existed on handheld. So going from this to this doesn't automatically excite me. In fact, it concerns me a little bit because it reminds me of in the 90s where we went from this to this and then followed it up with this. That coupled with the fact that we're losing the big world that we were exploring and now only exploring one city that we've been in before in the Kalos games, which I find a little bit disappointing because Kalos is one of my favorite regions and I don't get to explore that entire region anymore. The entire game is going to be relegated to one city. I'm a little bit disappointed. I understand that they were never going to be able to do the thing where you help build the city and help bring people in and make it safer the way you did in Legends Arceus. It's set in a different time. Lumos City was already a thing. They were doing the industrial revamping. We knew that from the older trailers. It's totally fine. I just want to see all of Kalos again, and I don't get to do that now. I just get to see a city that I spent some time in the first time I played the games back in 2013. And I wanted a little bit more. Essentially, I am a little bit concerned that I am not going to get the experience that I was hoping for, and that's a me issue, and I acknowledge that that's a me issue, that I'm losing out on an entire Kalos region, and it's being replaced with me exploring certain parts of the city that I've technically already been to within the last decade or so, while watching one of my favorite franchises fall into the same pitfalls that one of my other favorite franchises fell into and got its way out of when I was 5 years old. It's not that I hate the game and I complain about everything. It's not that. It's that I have genuine concerns built off of a context because of my wide breadth of experience with RPGs. That's all. I've just seen this happen before and I hope that it doesn't happen again. I'm still going to attempt to play the game with completely open eyes. I do have my biases, but I'm owning them at the door right now. And ultimately, I want Pokemon to win. I want them to stop being evil like they are because they are a corporation. And how they did Power World was foul. Mad foul. But I do want more Charizard, and I'm always going to want more Charizard, and anything I can do to make Charizard happen, I want to do. So I hope the game does well. I hope I'm proven wrong. I really hope I am proven wrong. But please understand, I'm not just hating on Pokemon for the sake of hating on Pokemon. I do have concerns.